and I sat down to come up with a definition for the Gothic, we realized that that was impossible. No one sentence can adequately be used to describe every literary work, every movie, because it's present in all aspects of life, like the traditional tropes of darkness, the ever-present villain or monster that's always there, the chase and the pursuit, the generally obvious aspects of Gothic. All of these pictures, you can easily look at them and say, yes, that is Gothic. But in doing so, you kind of limit it, because we decided that Gothic is relative. It's subjective depending on the culture and the person. And just like Hogel said, the antiquated spaces, the importance to plot, character development. For example, The Haunting, we have the typical white nightgown during the pursuit, the stairwell, the scary castle, and all those are obvious. But that's not always the case, which leads into modernized aspects of the Gothic as well.
Yes, like Schönbrunn, it kind of relates to the Empire in terms that things are not always as they seem. If we look at Hogel's definition, or Hogel's list of what defines the Gothic, the antiquated spaces, secret importance to plot, haunted blurred boundaries, we can see that all of this is within all of the places that we have visited. And it's easy to assume that the Gothic can be pinpointed so narrowly, but we put a stereotype on it and it closes our minds to the fact that Gothic is all around us, and it creates only one culture of Gothic. Sissy in herself, most people would not assume that she was a Gothic character, but her entire life was extremely Gothic. And through the mazes, there's not just one type of maze, there's not just one type of chase. We went through a maze in the London Underground. Kristen and I went through a maze in Paris. The Schönbrunn Gardens were a maze in themselves, created to be that way. In Kafka's The Castle, where he was in the constant pursuit, it was more of a subtle Gothic instead of that obvious, in-your-face, this is exactly what Gothic is. Our experience in Paris with the Gothic was we could not find the Eiffel Tower. It was here, we were walking this way, and then we looked to the left, and it was completely the other way. So we had our own Gothic experience, and it just goes to show you that it's in every element of our life.
Another modern aspect of the Gothic is surveillance. This is an example of London and the CCTV. One nation under CCTV. We thought that was pretty obviously Gothic because it is an anxiety. Even here, this is a picture from Harlexton. We're under constant surveillance. It's always present. And we say how this is appalling and we don't like it and we don't want to be constantly tracked, which is true, it's scary. But at the same time, we do this to ourselves. We're on our phones constantly. There are all these apps that make us accessible at all times. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Where's my iPhone? We're always able to be reached and it's our own fault. As Freud said in his interpretation of dreams, we use dreaming to work out our anxieties, but we do that as well with the Gothic. All the elements are based on real life, like the oppression, we all face that in the pursuit and the chase. And just like with Twilight and 50 Shades, they have realistic foundations to them, but they're Gothic, and they help us work through that, just like dreams do, which is why we can so easily relate to them and why the Gothic will always be present. It never really goes away.
So in conclusion, a way that we can all relate this to our lives and how we are living the Gothic, if we look at this list of what defines it, we look at oppression. Before we left, we were all oppressed by something, and now we're here at Harlexton in these antiquated spaces. There's a secret importance to plot and character development. That's the whole point that we're all here. These haunted and blurred boundaries, emphasizing the repressed and unconscious, things that we wouldn't necessarily do at home, and the social and political functions, of course. And then this is just an example of the decay, the inevitable decay of our mental health as we age. And as morbid as it sounds, in true Gothic fashion, we all go crazy eventually, and we all die. So we are all living in the Gothic as we speak, whether we realize it or not. And we're done.